The 3-time Super Bowl champion, the Super Bowl MVP, the 6-time Pro Bowler, the 97 NFL Man of the Year, Troy Aikman.
How are you?
5 through the fan. A terrific man.
Doing good.
Yes, it's great to see you here, of course, with your new beer, 8. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're really excited about it. We launched in February on premise, went off premise April 1st. The response has been fantastic, and just trying to keep the momentum going a little bit.
It looks like you're doing a heck of a job with the social media. How many of these are you doing a week?
Been doing quite a few. We've incorporated the 8 beer into a lot of the things that I've had on my calendar that aren't a part of this campaign, but have been touring around the state of Texas. In fact, I did the NFC Championship game in Los Angeles and was in San Antonio the next evening promoting 8. So haven't had a vacation yet, so to speak, since really last August, because I've been so busy since the football season ended. But it's been fantastic. We've just been really primarily marketing grassroots, like you said, through social media and word of mouth. And so with that, we're pretty excited about the exposure that we've gotten.
Well, we think it's delicious. We actually sampled it on air a couple of months ago.
Good.
Big
good.
fans.
Yeah.
Big fans. It's good stuff. So is this like a passion project for you, or how did you get involved with the beer?
Yeah, I worked at a distributorship when I was in college before I was transferring to UCLA. And then I guess like a lot of college kids, I consumed a lot of beer there in college and came to Dallas and got to know Barry Andrews and Andrews Distributing. They became very close friends. So I did a lot of things with their distributorships, but also did some national campaigns, but never imagined that I'd be making my own beer. But through a mutual friend, I met my now partners, and I thought if we could do it differently or maybe do it better than what was available, then let's give it a shot. And I feel that we've done that. And the reason I say so is we have no adjuncts and no fillers, and we're the only widely available beer that can say that. We have no added corn, rice, syrup, sugars. It's an all-malt beer, and yet we have just 90 calories and 2.6 grams of carbs without sacrificing taste. So for those that like light beer, this has much more flavor than most light beers.
It does.
So that's kind of it right there. And it was really designed for people like myself, people who work out, wake up, work hard during the week, and like a lot of people listening. And then on weekends or in times when they want to celebrate life or be with family and friends, they do that over a cold beer, and they don't feel like they've compromised all the work during the week. So I'm real proud of it, and I think people that haven't tried it, if they will, I think they'll enjoy it as well.
Troy, I'm curious when it comes to a man who has faced many challenges throughout your entire life. You're number 1 overall pick. You're a starting NFL quarterback. How challenging is that? Insanely. Then you're doing the TV stuff. You're crushing it at that. And now you take on this new challenge here. Has it been more or less challenging? How does it compare to the NFL career and the broadcasting challenge? And now you're an entrepreneur.
Each endeavor, I guess, has its own challenges, right? Whether it's playing quarterback, or going into broadcasting or now launching the beer. But I think the core values and the premises to how you have success is pretty much the same. And that is, the tag for our beer is no shortcuts, no excuses. And that's really been my philosophy in life. I think that to be successful, you got to put in the work, you got to put in the time. You've got to surround yourself with really good people that are talented, that are just as motivated as you are. And that's been the blueprint for me at every level, not just those levels that people are familiar with, but also my time at UCLA. But when you think of my football career, I played with really talented guys who really wanted to win and were committed to winning. The same has been true in broadcasting. I've been around really talented folks, and my partners on the beer side have been terrific, and we've got great partners that helped us come up with this recipe. And then the response, like we have here tonight at Bar Louie, has been really terrific. So I'm grateful for that also.
How difficult is it being Troy Aikman? I imagine you get a lot of people that would like to go into business with you. How do you vet that as far as finding the right guys who are on the level that you need?
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities, of course. But I hired my financial group back my rookie year in 1989, and they're still with me. In fact, not to divert, but I'm asked by a lot of college players coming into the NFL who they should hire as an agent. And I think if you hire a good one, then it's not going to be much of a discrepancy from one guy to the next as far as how much you make. I always say you got to get yourself a good financial planner, because you don't know how many contracts you're going to get. You got to take care of the money that you make when you get it. For me, I've got a good team that's able to vet a lot of various deals, but I've learned over the years that I've been involved in some things. Not everything I've been involved with has done well, but what hasn't done well has been because we haven't had the people that could execute. It wasn't because of the product. It wasn't because of the technology. And so, as I said a moment ago, I've really learned to bet on people. And I feel like it's one of the strengths that I have is being able to read people. I don't feel like I have a great deal of strengths, but I think that's one, and I've relied on it, and it's served me well throughout my life.
We appreciate the update and the perspective on all that. A lot of people are wanting to know, your thoughts on the draft and how the Cowboys did. Before we did that, do you have memories? What most sticks out to you from when you were drafted by the Cowboys?
Oh my gosh, it was such a magical time for me, and really for all these kids that are coming out of college and being drafted. Everyone has their memories of that moment. For me, I was here. I'd come from UCLA. I hadn't even yet left college, but I was the honorary chairman of a golf tournament that was being held at Bear Creek out by the airport. I'm not sure I'd ever been to Dallas other than the Cotton Bowl, and so I came out for that, and while that was going on, Jerry Jones was in town. My agent came with me. I'd already hired my agent, Lee Steinberg. And we actually began negotiating that evening. And so I was out at Valley Ranch. Stephen Jones took me. They wanted me out of the room. So Stephen and we went and got some pizza or something and hung out. And Lee and Jerry began the negotiation. And then to have that culminate in striking a deal. When I went to New York for the draft, you only were in New York for the draft if you were the number 1 overall pick and you were already signed to a contract. And so I was the only player there. And there had only been a few number 1 overall draft picks that had ever been at the NFL draft. So it's much now it's quite a production, as you saw last night in Vegas. But I like that they've moved it around and have done what they've done with the draft and moved it outside of New York and not there all the time.
Cowboys Hall of Famer and legend Troy Aikman with us here on 105 through the Fans. So the Cowboys go with Tyler Smith, 24 overall. They take the offensive tackle. Early reaction to the pick, and what are your thoughts generally on how the Cowboys offseason's gone thus far?
So I worked one draft back when Baker Mayfield was drafted and Josh Allen and that crew, which was a lot of fun because there was a lot of quarterbacks. I worked the first round of that draft, I should say. That's the only draft that I've worked.
Yeah.
So it's the only draft that I actually studied the quarterbacks. Last year I did study Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson, but that's about it. So the other players, my point is you're asking me about the Cowboys pick. Other than the fact that they probably filled a position of need,
sure,
I really don't know. And I'm probably not unlike a lot of guys who have even studied the draft because you just don't know anyway. I listen to all the experts who talk about these players and what they've done and why they're going to be good. Well, the reality of it is half of them are going to have pretty solid careers and half of them aren't. And hopefully for the Cowboys' sake, this is one of the good 50%.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Fingers crossed. Troy, what's the confidence meter that the 2022 version of Dak Prescott is going to be the first 6 to 8 games Dak Prescott we saw in 2021 as opposed to maybe the latter half of the year?
Yeah, it's a good question, and you just don't know. Right? You just don't know exactly how it's going to go. I think most people that have heard me speak know what I think of Dak. I love the guy. I love what he brings off the field, but I like the way that he's wired. There's not many leaders in the league that are as good at leading as Dak is. And so to have a quarterback that really only wants to win, everybody says that, but not many live up to it. If they're not getting their numbers and they're not throwing the ball, then they're not happy. That's not Dak at all. So there's a lot of things I like about him a lot. He's made such great strides from when he first got in. I think he's a great player. And you mentioned what do I think of the Cowboys offseason so far? They've lost a couple good players, and can they replace those players? And And if they can't, can others, guys like CeeDee Lamb or Gallup, when he comes back off of his injury, can they make up for it? Can they protect up front? But there's just a lot of ifs when you start saying, is this quarterback going to be better than he was a year ago?
Sure. I wonder your take, the quarterback-center relationship and losing Travis Frederick and bringing in Tyler Biadasz, who's very young. And Dak seemed like he was in total command the first half when it came to making checks and reading defenses. The Denver game happens. Everyone says, oh, it's the blueprint to how to stop the Cowboys offense. How much of that responsibility is on the quarterback to go ahead and get everything set at the line of scrimmage versus also on the center to make those calls?
So it's a little bit of both. Some teams, they put a little bit more pressure on the quarterback. Some teams put a little more pressure on the center to make those calls. As a quarterback becomes more and more of a veteran player, I think they typically take a lot of the load off of the center. But to your question, the center is a vital component of the offensive success. I mean, obviously along with the offensive line, but because they are essentially the captain of that group and communicating so much, even if the quarterback is making calls, the center in a lot of ways is the one who's able to then communicate that further in the terms that the offensive line needs to hear it. So those positions are really important. I think that's been the luxury of the Cowboys, of course. They've had great offensive line play for a number of years. It's not been quite what it was, but that was a high bar. But that has been, I think if you're talking about how can Dak be most effective as any quarterback, and can they get Zeke going to where the running game becomes more a part of what they are about, then the offensive line has to be the focal point.
So, Troy, with the new 8 beer, with your new broadcast contract and arrangement there, congrats on that.
Thank you.
One of the things fans wonder about is, would you still be interested in running a team or working for a team? Is that off for now? Is that on a back burner? Is that still a possibility for you?
Well, it's off the table for 5 years, and it's probably off the table completely. I mean, I've been asked that question a lot. Mm-hmm. I think I want to broadcast for I think I want to do it for 10 more years. I'd be 65 then at that time, but I do think, when I said that I don't know that I have a lot of skills, I do think I have some skills that could help a football team. And just in terms of the culture and getting the best out of the people involved. And I think that whether that would be with Dallas or someone else, I don't know. But I could see where, maybe there's some role. I don't see at this point of being given an opportunity to even make a decision on being a general manager or continuing to broadcast, but maybe around 65, I'd be ready to get out of television, and then maybe there's an opportunity there somewhere where I can go help a club, and maybe they use whatever the strengths are they feel that I have, or we both feel that I have.
Well, thanks for joining us and giving us your time. Can you tell the audience what the best way to get your new beer is?
The best way, this crew that's here, they know they're here. They're going to get it right here at Bar Louie.
They got it.
But if you go to 8beer.com, there's a beer finder, and you just punch in your zip code. It'll tell you right where you can go get it. It'll tell you the bars. It'll tell you the retail stores where you off-premise where you can go and pick it up and get a lot of it.
Yes, sir. Round of applause for the great Troy Aikman here on 105.3 The Fan.
Thank you, everybody.
Looking great.